Blizzard is desperate to save Midnight's rep. That's right. Now, I'm not sure if it's Midnight's rep that was damaged, but it's really the Gamescom reveal that was damaging, okay? Just the way the entire expansion was revealed, it just didn't sit right. We got a cinematic, then we got a bunch of YouTube shorts talking about the actual shit that's dropping in the game. We were supposed to get a dev conference thing, like a live stream after. We never did, which kind of made the whole expansion reveal fall flat. Well, if you didn't watch it already, Blizzard dropped all these new videos about the expansion, some really good stuff, and I think Blizzard heard us based on all the stuff that's coming at Midnight. Let's see what Bellular has to say about Blizzard's new listening tactics.
Well, everyone, I think they actually did it. Blizzard have been farming some wins here. The entire deep dive they did for Midnight, the Q&A, and the Alpha Wave has honestly been kind of incredible. And there's a lot of just top, headline news.
I love this room that they've been using ever since player housing was revealed and stuff. Like, I love this this lore room. It looks like they're sitting in an inn or in a house in World of Warcraft. This is, the whole aesthetic of it's just so damn cozy.
Valor Stones are being removed. They have got a new thing where unlocking a class set will automatically give you all of the lower difficulties. That's
fantastic.
Pretty cool. And it's also retroactive for the entire game.
Yeah, big deal.
And overall, I think they're not really messing around here. They clearly want Midnight to be a resounding victory, and after the rather humongous PR stumble that was Gamescom, I think with this, they've actually kind of given it all. They've actually done a good job. And I don't think it's just the deep dive and the Q&A. They also did a round of media interviews, plus 43,000 words of patch notes.
I said this, guys, and I was like, I'm not going to read through all these patch notes, but the class changes and the patch notes alone, it's probably the most extensive I've ever seen. There's about 100 pages of patch notes here. Like if you got multiple classes you're considering playing, you're gonna need to turn on the fire and sit in your favorite couch and just spend time reading, because they got a fucking novella out here about class changes right now. There's a ton of stuff.
Good. So today, things are real simple. I'm just going to bring you the most important news about Midnight, the really cool tidbits. But before that, we need to talk about Blizzard's fairly swift change in strategy here. That deep dive was exactly what WoW needed.
It did.
Here's the thing. It was not even a deep dive. Really, it wasn't. It was not going into the nitty-gritty details.
No.
It was more of an overview of Midnight, and it was around 30 minutes long.
And I love the style of the way they did it. Again, if you didn't watch it, go check out the World of Warcraft YouTube channel. But it was like they were in the expansion, and they were talking about the threats that are currently looming. Like, it was like a lore reveal. But a lore reveal where they also revealed what we're going to be doing in the game. I don't know. There was a style to it that they hadn't used before, I feel like, when it comes to revealing an expansion. I loved it. It was great.
And in a fairly familiar style. Think a dramatic, theatrical reading by some classical English actor. And not just anyone either. It was David Shaughnessy, who is the guy who actually voiced Prophet Velen in Warlords of Draenor, amongst many other characters.
I was saying his voice sounded familiar, but I couldn't figure out where it came from. So he's Prophet Velen's voice guy. Yeah, he was awesome. He does a great job revealing the stuff in the expansion.
And the whole thing felt inspired by the classic intro cutscenes. You know, the ones that would play right after you make your very first character. But somehow even better. It was pretty good. The writing was kind of intense. There was a heavy focus on story, and importantly, a focus on the fantasy. And look, it might be a bit old-fashioned, but I can tell people will be hooked by this style. And one of the things we complain about often is vibes, and the vibes being off.
Oh, they're doing their
dance. I
dance.
think that deep dive had plenty of the right sorts of vibes. And what struck me was something new. The narrator went over some of the Eversong quests, not just by saying what we're going to be doing, but by
why?
saying how it actually will feel.
Yeah.
And I mean it when I say this, actually,
some really
good
cool
job, Blizzard. That
narrative stuff in here that they talked about that we hadn't really heard yet. And it was what's going on here. Evidently, they used the light, right, to cleanse the dead scar. It was like the Sunwell was being used, and some light power is being used to cleanse. That's how the dead scar is being cleared, and that's how the plague lands are being fixed and everything. But there's points and spots where the light is overriding everything and just going nuts, and empowering the creatures, and the creatures are just going nuts. So we're seeing a bad side of the light a little bit here, and that's what's going on here in this image. And I remember them talking about it during the video, is they're trying to hold back or encase those areas where the light is just becoming overwhelming to try to stop it from spreading. So it's a little bit of a new take on the light that we haven't seen before.
feel. And I mean it when I say this, actually, good job, Blizzard. That's engaging with people in the way that people actually engage in art, not just boringly listing out the feature set that an expansion has.
Right.
I think if anything is going to get players invested in WoW's atmosphere, its world, its lore, it's going to be something like that. It worked in me and a few of the people that I've seen, at least. And if you look at the YouTube comments, I think I'm not alone. There's a lot of people saying it's a massive improvement, that it sounds, quote, so Warcraft. Maybe that's the thing we've been missing for a while. And maybe they had all of this planned all along. Maybe it wasn't a quick response to Gamescom, but either way, I think they struck some gold here.
Yeah,
and
for
that's
sure.
even before I talk about the Q&A, because after 30 minutes
which
of
was
that
also
lovely
great
deep English voice, we got a whole hour of Kaivax asking questions. And you know what? It was really good. It was just the WoW leadership.
It was good. I thought they were just gonna like softball shit, and I feel like they didn't. I feel like they really went into the hard questions, like the stuff about add-ons. Some of the other things they went into was a racial customization, stuff like that. They answered a lot of the questions that I was wondering. I was just hoping it wasn't going to be like a player housing-a-thon, where it's just they're answering 200 questions about player housing, because I feel like we've gotten enough of that already. And they did do player housing stuff, but they really dug into a lot of the other things, and I was excited to hear about some of this stuff, and they did a good job answering the questions.
They're doing Q&A, and I would say overall, Blizzard, this is it.
Yeah,
this is the blueprint for getting people information in a way where they will actually hear it. So, with all of that glazing done, let's actually talk about the new information that we've learned. Okay, quality of life changes. There are a lot of them, so strap in. Okay, one of them, patch 11.2.7, is actually bringing back the Brawlers Guild. Yes, the Brawlers Guild, and that's alongside housing. That's all going to be happening on the 2nd of December. And even bigger news.
Now, wait, did Blizzard confirm that it's the 2nd of December for the patch? Because I know they said player housing is dropping, which I did think was an 11.2.7 feature. But I'm not sure if they said officially 11.2.7 is dropping on December 2nd as well. So it could be. And that's most likely what it is right now. I thought we could be getting it December 16th, which is like, another Tuesday later. But hey, well, I'll take it December 7th. That works for me.
Of December.
Or 2nd, I should
even
say.
Bigger news. Valor Stones are gone. I don't think we're going to
This was great. This was
yeah,
great.
No caveat. They're literally just gone.
Thank God. I've been saying it for freaking years. We need to get rid of Valor Stones.
Coast has dropped this rather casually at the end of the Q&A. I think we could all tell he wanted to get that info out. And even added they're fixing up crests. Now, based on what he said, it sounds like each track of gear will just need the same type of crest. Nice and simple.
Great.
So right now, to get from Hero 1 to Hero 6, you would need some runed crests and some gilded crests. So perhaps in Midnight, that will change to just be a little bit more linear, a little bit more easier to understand.
I don't think Valor Stones were that big of a deal, to be honest. They were annoying. That's what they were. They were just another thing you had to do. Like, you would go do the hard content, get the crests, do all the stuff you got to do to upgrade your gear, and then you realize you're out of Valor Stones. Now you got to go do some, like, Heart of Azeroth world quest grindy shit. Why? It just felt pointless a lot of times. Now, for a lot of us, Valor Stones were just passively gained anyway, so you didn't really worry about it. But when you didn't have enough, it was very annoying. It never felt good. You always had to go and do shit you didn't want to do to get them.
Say, champion only needing carved, maybe hero
and the cap
only
was
needing
stupid.
rude,
Yes,
something like.
Maybe if they existed without the cap, that wouldn't be as annoying. But the cap was freaking one of the most annoying parts about it. So yeah, just get rid of them. We don't need them anyways. Why do you need 2 currencies to upgrade gear? Just make it a 1 currency system.
That anyway. Now, the second biggest bit of news is that collecting raid sets just got way easier. So in Blizzard's words, quote, fully collecting a class set's appearances now unlocks all lower difficulty variants.
Yes.
So if you do the heroic raid and you get a piece of gear, it will also unlock the appearance of the normal mode piece of gear as well. What's pretty cool is that this change is retroactive to all legacy content. That's certainly good for most cases. However, there is a little bit of a change where upgrading a piece of gear will no longer bump up the visuals that it will grant you.
Oh, what? I didn't know that. Eligible sets will be marked. This is great, by the way. The retroactiveness of this is awesome. But I didn't know that. Hold on. While we feel the catalyst is largely successful expanding access to power, it has also generated friction, dual primary use to set appear. This is what I've been using it for, honestly. Set appearances is what I've been using the catalyst mostly for. This friction has been further exacerbated by the loot roll restriction situation, LFR. In conjunction with this change, we want to better preserve the value of identity item for the art. So it won't. Item upgrades will no longer change the appearance when you upgrade. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess it doesn't matter, though. If you get them all, why would it matter? It doesn't matter. I mean, maybe for people who never did the higher level content, it does matter. So if you were somebody who ran normal, but the only way you could really get the other appearances is by pushing the item level up and then going to the catalyst, would that actually work for you? Heroic to mythic. Heroic to mythic is what's going to hurt. Yeah, heroic to mythic is where you're not going to get the myth track looking gear. That's what you're not going to get anymore, which I'm fine with. If I had to pick between the old system and the new system, I'd pick this. Even though we're losing the catalyst thing, I'd still pick this. I think this is better.
So for a lot of people, say in Delves, that side of this change is a little bit disappointing. I have a feeling it'll be a net positive overall, but yeah, it's not universally good for every single player.
Yeah,
but overall,
that.
Because this is retroactive, it means that once pre-patch hits, most of
a lot
us
of tier
log
sets
in and have way more options for our transmogs. Yeah. But as disappointing as that could be, modern Blizzard is quite a bit better at taking on feedback, so maybe if there's enough feedback, they will remove that side of this change. Moving on then, we've got a new place called the Arcantina, and this is essentially the Hearthstone Tavern. It's a minor feature, it's one we didn't know about before, but basically it's designed to give you a break from all of the doom and gloom that's going on in Midnight.
I saw this and I was wondering what this is about. It's like a little player hub or something. It's like, we got our hub city in Silvermoon, but they were showing this and it's a narrative hub, that's what they're calling it. Our Arcantina. It's actually cool. Now, is this going to be used for massively sloppy orgies on Midnight or on Moonguard? Probably. This will definitely be an RP hub for a lot of these RP servers. But overall, I just think the aesthetic's great. Now, what is going to really peak this or not peak it is the music. If the music hits perfect, because in music in World of Warcraft is usually really good. I mean, you got the bard sounding little violet and all that. If they hit peak music in here, I might be spending some time in here because this looks like a good aesthetic.
Honestly, it's a lore and like RP spot, but it's got plenty of quests as well. And in Blizzard's blog post, they revealed
I love the bar animation
rotating groups of visitors. So each group of these visitors will have different conversations with each other about things from the past. Some of these can even lead to quests. And those quests will send you off to explore places and events that those NPCs are talking about.
Right, and I heard that...
servant.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for the follow, man. Welcome to our Scourge. I heard that these quests will take you to a lot of old zones in Azeroth, which is really cool. I mean, Blizzard's got this entire world out there, this entire Azeroth, these two continents that we just don't use anymore because it's become World of Island craft. Every time we get a new expansion, we need a new island. So this is cool. You're going to be being sent back to old zones to explore and do some quests. I think this is a really cool, chill thing to do.
Could be a good gateway for getting some people into the lore.
Yeah,
okay.
Good way to introduce some lore.
Let's talk about journeys. If you've been watching our videos, you may have seen this. It's called Plumber. It's an add-on by Peter Yu. It's absolutely amazing, and it adds this really nifty overview page for all of your renowns, and actually more info than just your renowns. I use it personally. It's amazing, and Blizzard seemingly liked it so much they've nicked the idea. So Journeys is a new summary page that shows you all of your renowns, your delves, your prey, and your vault progress in one place.
Great, thank God. This is awesome. How many times have I been on stream where I try to show you guys my renown track and I have to go in the reputations and I have to scroll and find the right bar and click the right thing? This is what we needed. This is great. This Journeys tab is perfect. Now we get a little summary of it all.
Which does mean, rather shockingly, it's starting to feel like the UI of a modern video game.
Right.
Well, that's far from all the UI changes.
Nice.
Other things are getting big upgrades as well. One of those is obviously the cooldown manager. So now you can save multiple different layouts. Plus, finally, sounds and events are in for each spell. And the new nameplates are also in the alpha. They look pretty great, I would say. And there is a massive amount of customization, more than I think anyone would have expected from Blizzard had this been 5 or definitely 10 years ago. And then there's the personal resource display. Thankfully, this is moving its way over to edit mode, which is a minor thing, but I think it's important for people to get their UIs just the way that they want.
Oh, nice. So now I can make my runes on my Death Knight like way bigger. So like, cause some of these add-ons, that's all they do is like they used to make your runes bigger so you can display and see them better. So now you can do that with this. This is good. See, a lot of people have been worried about Blizzard's implementation of like what DBM is supposed to do or what damage meters, because those are going away. But I think if you just give them some time, yeah, maybe off the bat it might not be good. But I think if you give them a little bit of time, they're going to do it right. These changes are great. And eventually, like over time, it's better for the overall health of the game for Blizzard to do this themselves, rather than have add-ons required to play the game properly. I think these are really good changes. Good evening.
Sadly,
What's up,
though,
Jimmy?
there is one thing we can't test yet, and that is the boss warnings. So this feature is not...
Ben, thank you for the follow-up to our Scourge.
Not totally ready in time for the first wave of the alpha. It is in, but Blizzard have warned us that it's currently not done.
Okay,
but
so
Ian did say
combat timeline and shit. Hold on, this is the DBM replacement. So we see, what is this? It's right here, Horde. So he's editing the combat timeline. I can't see what these are yet, but it looks like valuable stuff.
Ian did say it outright in the developer Q&A that add-ons won't be able to read combat information in Midnight.
Right.
We don't know to what degree that change will be, but the upshot is the Dimensius will be the last boss you'll ever be fighting with a weak aura.
Yeah.
But obviously this is...
Yeah, I think this is so good. I think this is so good. Some people, I had a healer comment on a part of my last video where I talked about this a little bit, and he was like, well, are they going to take away my unit frames healing add-on, you know, where it kind of shows me the raid properly so I can easily click and heal? I don't know what he called the add-on, but evidently it's like an add-on that a lot of healers like to use. And he goes, if Blizzard's going to take this away, what am I going to do? And my reply to that was, they're not going to take that away. Blizzard already said they're not going to take away things like LVUI and like these different unit frames change-ups or stylistic change-ups to the game. What they're going to take away is anything that requires actual boss data. So if you're using an add-on right now that interacts with the boss fight or interacts with whatever mobs you're pulling to show you information about those mobs, those are going away, because Blizzard will just not make that information accessible anymore to the add-ons. But other than that, if you have an add-on for your bag or some kind of auction house add-on or a UI add-on, those are going to stay. You can still customize the game the way you want. What's great about that is that the stuff that's essentially required, which is really weak auras right now, if you want to play the game at the highest level, those will no longer be a thing. If you want to play the game maxed out, you play the game maxed out. You don't got to go outside and get other shit to get that done. So I think it's great. I love add-ons. A lot of people like add-ons, and a lot of add-ons will still be there. Just the shit that gives you an unfair advantage in a fight will not be there. Which means Blizzard's going to design better boss fights too.
Fluff to say
it's
that
better.
This is
Trust
a
me, guys.
change.
It's better.
Or it could be peak, a video title done by...
Trust me, I'm a doctor.
I mean, really, Clamp? It's kind of huge. So, with the pre-patch, basically the era of add-ons just dominating World of Warcraft raids,
fuck Blizzard,
Dungeons
fuck
is just going to be over. Things like, say, Plater and some parts of weak auras may survive for the sake of customization. In the Q&A, Ian was very clear that the, aesthetic part of add-ons he's really, really a fan of, but it's the combat power and the computational stuff that is basically doing thinking for you. That is, it's going to be dead. The next thing then is professions, and professions...
The only thing I use for combat is details, DBM, and Plater. To be honest, I don't trust them to not cock this all up all the way. Those are going away, by the way. The ones you mentioned, those are going away. Blizzard already said they're adding those into the game. In terms of DPS meters, like for details, it's going to be better. Blizzard's implementation is going to be better because they have the data that a lot of times details would fuck up if you spread out and you went to different phases of a fight at the same time. Sometimes that would get messed up. Or like say when a new class gets introduced, like Devastation Evoker, where it doesn't quite match up with a typical DPS chart, Blizzard will know what to do with that much better than Details did. So I actually think of all of the shit that's getting put in, Blizzard's DPS meter is going to be the best DPS meter we've ever seen. It's going to be the most accurate, it's going to have the most access to information, and it's going to be perfectly implemented day one. Let's continue on.
Come, servant. We have a realm to destroy.
It's Jimmy. Thank you for the follow, man. Welcome to our Scourge.
Are confirmed to be getting a quick revamp, which is certainly good. Thus far, that means we're going down to 2 qualities from 3 qualities, which should help to simplify the whole thing kind of nicely, but we've not seen the full scope of the changes yet. Now, also, actual gear crafting is getting a fix as well, where there will be no more half sparks. I have to imagine that's been confusing to some newer players. Now the way it works is you just get full sparks, but you'll need 2 of them to craft. Which basically,
according to Mystical OS DBM creator, okay, they are going nuclear on the add-on in alpha, then getting feedback to remove some restrictions, i.e. they are negotiating. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they're going to try. I don't know if those negotiations are going to go well. I mean, the truth is that just if Blizzard wants to do it themselves, they're going to do it themselves. And I think call-outs for certain boss mechanics and stuff like that are just going to be in the game. Now, DBM I don't think was as much of a problem as weak auras were. Weak auras were the thing that were trivializing boss mechanics, forcing Blizzard to design boss fights knowing the weak auras are coming. So DBM I don't think was that big of a deal. DBM used to just call shit out, which is what Blizzard wants, but just they want it in the game. So we'll see how those negotiations go.
Basically as us, it's a different way of getting to the same place, but
they also cause like lag spike issues sometimes, some of these add-ons, so that won't be a thing anymore.
I think it'll be a little bit more clear. But the huge changes don't end there, because combat is getting a very crazy update as well. Now, for as long as I can remember, WoW has worked the same way. An interrupt locks an enemy mob out for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
That's actually now going up
longer.
to 5. Yeah. And that means that interrupts will be way stronger against enemies now, and there will be a lot fewer casts going out in dungeons and in raids. That's fairly large.
Yeah, Blizzard's interrupt philosophy has been pretty obvious from the start. They want to do more obvious interrupts so that you know what to interrupt. They're going to use their new Plater add-in to the game to be able to make it obvious as to what you should be interrupting, and the interrupts are not going to happen as often. Which means, you're not going to need to do it as much, and the interrupt's going to last longer. Everybody's interrupt in the game, whatever interrupt ability you currently have, is being extended by 2 seconds. So if it was a 5-second one, now it's a 7-second one. So interrupting is going to be better. It's going to be better overall in the game.
Now, diminishing returns
and more obvious.
Are also being changed drastically as well. So right now in PvE, enemies become immune after 3 stuns. It would take 18...
Even for PvP? No, not for PvP. Not for PvP. I read the patch notes on this, and it specifically says in brackets, this does not apply to PvP. So no.
Seconds for that to reset. But now Blizzard are basically fixing both, where enemies will never become immune to stuns. Instead, it will just go down to a minuscule stun duration, which, will be weaker, but the enemy will still be stunned for a little bit, and that's got some obvious good implications for, you interrupting an ability by using a stun, as one example.
Right.
Now, the reset is going down to 16 seconds, and this means that you can lock down enemies a lot more effectively now. Of course, things are a little different over in PvP, where now 2 stuns will make you immune to a 3rd, and that does make CC less effective.
Right.
And also in PvP, Elite rank is now 2300 rating down from 2400.
Blizzard's giving PvP some love this expansion. We got a new PvP outdoor world zone. We got new PvP arena. PvP rankings. You guys see the gladiator mount too? I mean, man, that thing was freaking glorious. I'll pull it up again. Oh, look at this. Oh my God. Badass. Blizzard's actually showing some love to PvP in this expansion. Yeah, it's actually a part of the game again.
Rating, so that should be a good bit easier to reach. Now, that's
Love
all
that gladiator
from the
mount.
Official notes, except for the class stuff, which I'll have to get into another day because, my God, there's far too much. There are so many class changes, and even doing a quick summary would mean I'd just be here all day. But I'm still going to be here for a while because I'm far from done. So next, here's all the important stuff that we picked out from the Q&A and also from all the creator interviews that we could find.
Nice. Added 2 seconds to... No, so it's not... They did not add 2 seconds to interrupt cooldowns. I said that yesterday and I was wrong. I misspoke. They added 2 seconds onto interrupt duration. So the length of your interrupt is longer now once you hit it. If you hit an interrupt, that guy cannot cast for a longer period of time. That mob won't be able to cast for 2 seconds longer than it was previously done. Yeah, imagine Sam being wrong. I know. At least I admit it. Yeah, the duration of your cooldown is still the same. It's the duration of your actual interrupt that's going to be longer now.
One thing we've been waiting in info for is the praise system. We knew it had difficulties and rewards, but what we didn't know
it does not affect
is this.
PvP.
When you are chasing a nightmare difficulty target, the entire zone that they're in gets more dangerous. Do you know what that sounds like? That sounds a little bit like Legion Remix's heroic world tier. So Pretty cool. I'm quite excited for that to be a thing, but sadly, it's not all good news. So we're still not getting class skins. That being said, the question of customization keeps on coming up, and Ian keeps saying that glyphs are the way that they will do that. At least from my read of just hearing Ian, it seems that he really does want them to get like more spell customization and stuff into the game from a visual standpoint.
He talked about glyphs. He talked about glyphs, which is like a Samiccus staple. I always talk about glyphs on stream because I'm like, why the fuck did they stop doing glyphs? Glyphs are a great part of the game. Glyphs were the customization part of your spells, man. They were so cool. And then like hero talents came in and I'm like, why did Blizzard do this? Like if they wanted more class like customization shit, just bring the glyph system up to date. Because that system's already there. It's perfect. You can change the color of your spells, turn something into a penguin instead of a sheep. Like there were so many cool things you could do. And Ian said it. He was like, we're looking at the glyph system, nothing there yet, but yes, we know class customization and all that is something people love to do, and maybe the glyph system will be used more to do that. Like, so he acknowledged the fact that there is this system ready to go. Just freaking give it some love, Blizzard, and it'll be great.
Point.
I've been saying that for a long time.
Hard confirmed just yet. Now, that's not it for the less than good news. The other thing that's not really happened is a big expansion to the Warbound reputations. But to be fair to them, Ian did straight up apologize and take accountability for this. He said they really wanted to get more old reps onto the Warbound system, but basically they fell behind. And he said that whenever Midnight is out, they'll get back in the wagon to get those things sorted out. Hopefully they can find the time for that, but you know what? I get it. Production's hard, shit falls behind. But you know what? As long as there's good communication,
sure.
And you know, if something does go a little bit screwy and people properly apologize for that and sort of take accountability for it, yeah, I'll totally take that. That's good. That's honest. That's the kind of communication we want. Now, Speaking of warbands, we actually got a sort of confirmation, a soft confirmation, and that is of using your own warband characters in follower dungeons. It seems that's something that is eventually going to happen.
That's
just
really cool.
Not yet. And they say that's because they have loads of technical hurdles to solve. And thankfully, in the Q&A...
Okay, somebody just said that that the interrupt... I'm sorry to go back to this, but it keep like chat's all over the place with it. The interrupt duration thing does not affect PvP. I pulled up the notes again right here. These are the patch notes directly from Blizzard. So you see here, every single interrupt duration it's now been increased by 2 seconds. But right here, after every single one, it says does not affect PvP combat. So I don't know why there's confusion here. Now, unless I'm missing something, maybe there are other changes to PvP happening that Zarya was talking about, but these specifically say does not affect PvP combat. Okay, so I'm assuming that means there's no change to PvP combat when it comes to interrupts. Okay, every single one of these says that. So there you go. There's a silence duration thing here in PvP combat. So this one's a bit different, but the rest of them still do not affect PvP combat. So there you go. That's fucking right there.
Paul actually said that they got one major technical hurdle out of the way, and that's thanks to the training ground, where basically they rebuilt how they load in bots. And if you're not aware, by the way, the training ground is basically a remake of the comp stomp thing that's basically designed as, I think their exact words were, sort of making the base of the pyramid larger for PvP content by just letting more people come in. So basically, whatever they did about those bots should mean that eventually doing, say, follower dungeons with your warband characters, so with your alts, that should be possible. So maybe that'll happen in the future. But for another change, and
cool.
one you may like, well,
cool, yeah, integrating more with the warband stuff, that'd be great. I think that's really cool.
Delves. Okay, no underwater delves, and no carrying totems or
But
candles.
we have an outdoor delve. This thing looks cool. This is a delve. This isn't a dungeon. So our first outdoor, we're not in a cave underground delve. This is actually, I think this is going to be fun. Look, it's like a mini dungeon at this point. Like a single player dungeon.
Or anything of the sort. They say they've learned what mechanics we like and don't like. That's certainly good to hear, so we won't have to deal with those things again. And Ian also answered a question about legendaries. I wonder if there's, Shadowlands legendary PTSD in both sides of this equation. But he mentioned why we didn't get them in War Within. Basically, it's because they don't want legendaries to become formulaic. Obviously,
they should be legendary.
They were formulaic. So you know what? I'll take this as them, actually making progress. understanding what worked, what didn't. Basically, if an item is orange quality, it really has to be earned. It needs a story behind it instead of just something that everyone will feel forced to grind for. So that's what they said on that. There are no plans for the first patch, but maybe for later. Now, to end on a good note, here's what we've taken away, I think, from this whole wave. It's pretty simple. Blizzard do not seem to be growing complacent here.
Yeah.
They're dropping housing, and it's fairly goddamn robust. There are sweeping changes across the game, and they're clearly not done.
The light moves.
In almost every answer about a game system, they made it quite clear that they want feedback. They want to know what people want from housing in the future, what kinds of UI changes people want to see. It actually seems that they are quite hungry to make the game better.
Man, the housing community is going to be huge. Like, I'm not a housing guy. I never asked for housing. But I'm going to tell you right now, this housing shit is going to be massive. There's going to be people who play this game just housing. There's going to be entire housing communities. There's going to be housing YouTube channels that just review people's houses. Shit, man, I just gave somebody a great idea. There's going to be so much wow housing shit going on. And it's going to increase, you know, some people are going to be subbed to this game just for housing. Now, I don't know what the hell is going on. This looks like sex tents. I'll be honest. This looks like little sex booths here going on. And that might be happening in housing too. But overall, I think housing is going to be great for the health of the game. It's not garrisons. A lot of people are worried about that. It's not. There's no freaking player progression related shit in here. It is literally just a system to show off achievements and what you've gathered in the game. And it's hyper customizable.
If they mess up, it seems that they are sort of there waiting to fix it. Honestly, it was a damn good presentation. What else then, and where are we left with all this? Well, that's all the new important stuff from this very first wave. There's already stacks of posts from Blizzard, sweeping combat changes. There's a huge shift, as an example, in healing philosophy. There are loads of class reworks coming, and there are loads of words on basically every feature in Midnight. And to me, it's fairly obvious what's going on. That they kind of, took what happened at Gamescom extremely personally. Nice to say,
Siren, thank you for the sub on YouTube.
They took that personally. Maybe some of my own words were taken rather personally. So, a few offended people aside, what actually matters to me is the quality of delivery. People can be offended, have feelings, but it's all bullshit, that's all noise. What actually matters is the shit good when it comes out.
Yeah, hopefully it's not broken.
It was actually good communications. It felt confident. It projected confidence.
Was good.
And in a way that didn't feel like it was overcompensating. So actually, it was some pretty damn smart shit. And compared to some of the more choppy stuff of the past, it does look like they're doing everything in their power to make sure we actually know what is coming.
Yeah.
So after this PR beat, and just before the public alpha starts, I think overall there's a vibe in the air, and that vibe is along the lines of Midnight maybe being what World of Warcraft needs. And funnily enough, I'll have a video up very shortly in the channel about some of the inside baseball about why that kind of may actually be the case and why the last two expansions have been, I would say, massively trending in a positive direction, but undoubtedly, a little bit scuffed every now and then. As we've covered in this channel.
Agreed.
But right now, well, you can prepare for Midnight. One of the best ways to prepare for Midnight is watching this video, which is the entire story of Xal'atath. From her very beginning in, the planet where the Dominar are, so I guess millions of years ago, basically a time before time. From then, up to the end of the War Within. We've done it in one video, 37 minutes long, so if you want to chill out and enjoy something, and actually get all that story that you need, check that video out.
Great stuff. Yeah, nice video here from Bellular, and yeah, nice job by Blizzard. They really course corrected, because the Midnight reveal... I live streamed that entire day on Gamescom, and we all felt it. We were like, Jesus. First of all, it took forever for the cinematic to come out. I felt limp dick as shit by the time it actually hit, and then the whole thing was like 2 seconds long. It was over, and then we didn't hear anything else. So that whole I don't know if they'll ever do that again, but it was not good. We needed like some kind of post-press conference or something about it. Evidently, we were supposed to get one, and it got canceled, so that made everything even worse. But I will say, Blizzard's recent videos and everything they dropped out the expansion now, they made up for it. It's really good. It's probably some of the best expansion reveal content we've ever gotten, and I'm excited for Midnight. A nice video here from Bellular.